Wow. Well, you know, I want to thank the pastor. He's a great man and a great guy. And, you know, about a year ago, sit down, everybody. Come on. We have plenty of time. We have plenty of time. You know, in New Hampshire, they have the 7 candidates. I'm going to New Hampshire on Monday. But they have the 7 candidates, and they're doing a forum, and nobody's showing up. The place is half empty. So they called, why aren't you there? I said, because I don't want to fill up the place for them, right? And it's a little bit embarrassing, but they are having a hard time. But I want to just tell you that the pastor is an incredible guy, and I watched him on television a year ago, and he was talking about me, and I didn't know him at that time. And he said, well, look, he's going to be the best leader. He's going to be the best for the economy. He's going to be the best on ISIS. He's going to take care of ISIS, and he's going to take care of the border and all of the things that I talk about. And he's going to get rid of Obamacare and give us great health care as opposed to what's going on with all of the problems. And all of these things. And he may not be as pure as we think, but he's really good, and he is a great Christian. And that's what I wanted to hear. And I will tell you, Christianity is under siege, whether we want to talk about it or we don't want to talk about it. And if I said some of the things about Christians that I've said about the Muslims, where we have a problem, and it's a problem we have to talk about, and I brought it out, I took a lot of heat for bringing it out, and I will tell you that now people are saying he did a great service. Just like when I brought out illegal immigration, everybody went crazy about Trump. How could he say that? And then about 2 weeks later, everyone's trying to say, well, you know, Trump's right, because they see the murder of Kate in San Francisco and Jamil in Los Angeles and so many others, the tremendous crime, and what it does to your economy. So I brought these things out. I feel I have an obligation to bring them out. You know, remember, I'm self-funding my campaign, so I don't have anybody speaking in my ear. I don't have people speaking in my ear and telling me like, oh, you shouldn't say this, you shouldn't say that, all of these different people. I don't have lobbyists with me. I know the lobbyists. I mean, I've used the lobbyists. I mean, I've done very well with lobbyists. But believe me, they control your candidates. And special interests, they control your candidates. But I've turned down millions and millions of dollars. I feel foolish actually doing it. You want to know the truth? I said, no, I don't want your $5 million. No, don't give me $2 million. I go back to, you know, it's just not my way of life. I always was like, hey, I have to say this. I was very greedy. Now I'm going to be greedy for the country. We have to take in money. Greedy for the country. Because we have very stupid people running our country. You know, when you look at these deals, they're very stupid. I used to say they're very incompetent, but they're really beyond. I think stupid's a better word. You know? Sometimes the press, they say, I resonate with these big crowds because we get the biggest crowds. I mean, and we were in Lowell, Massachusetts. It was incredible. In New Hampshire, we had a couple of crowds that were unbelievable recently, but all throughout the term. And they said, he's plain spoken. Plain spoken. I went to Ivy League College. I went to the Wharton School of Finance. I have a better vocabulary than anybody back there. Look at all those cameras. It's like, are we in the Academy Awards? Is this the Academy? And look, they're all live. Look at that, all live. I never can make a speech without live cameras. You know, I always have to be careful. These other guys come in, then nobody's there. They have no press, they have nobody. Nobody cares. But you know, when they say plain spoken, and then I started thinking about it, I said, you know, you can be super genius. You can have all of the things that you want to have. You can do everything right. You can be the greatest academic in the world. But where is there a better word than stupid to describe what's going on? There is no better word. There is no better word. You know, you look at the different things. So I just have to say this because, you know, I'm a true believer, and you're many true believers. I hope all. Is everybody a true believer in this room? I think so. But Christianity is under tremendous siege. And if I said that about Christians, I would have less backup than by saying it about Muslims. I had tremendous backup. Now everyone's saying, wow, it was such a great thing to say because now everybody's talking about it. I mean, people are flying planes into the World Trade Center. Let's talk about it. People are shooting in California. People are shooting in Paris. 130 people killed in Paris. Nobody wants to talk about it. We have a president that doesn't want to say radical Islamic terrorism. He doesn't want to talk about radical Islamic terror. He doesn't want to even mention it. It's like it doesn't exist. It exists. And I'll tell you something. If I said that about Christians, And if I said banned, I'm telling you, I would have had less difficulty. And that's pretty sad because we're Christians. I'm Protestant, I'm Presbyterian. Are you surprised to hear that? Yeah. I always like to bring my communion pictures along. Sometimes I'll bring a communion, but I didn't want to. I think you believe me, right? You've seen. But the power of our group of people together. I mean, if you add it up, I was trying to do it the other day. I was with one of the great ministers. And I said, you know, if you think about this country, because now you're talking about men and women, you're talking about together. So the group is larger, Christians in this country is larger than men or women. And I said, how many Christians do you think? And it could be like 240, 250 million, you know, a big portion of, and yet we don't exert the power that we should have. Now, I think some of the churches are afraid of their tax status, to be honest. You know, they're afraid they're going to lose their tax status if they get too political. Some of them just can't endorse. But, you know, the fact is that there's nothing the politicians can do to you if you band together. You have too much power. But the Christians don't use their power. They don't use your power. And honestly, you have, by far, it's the strongest. I mean, you talk about lobbies. You have the strongest lobby ever. But I never hear about a Christian lobby. I hear great people, like the pastor. I hear some unbelievable people. Many, many friends are ministers, and lots of them have endorsed me already. But I have to tell you that we don't hear about strength, and we have to strengthen because we are getting, if you look, it's death by a million cuts. We are getting less and less and less powerful in terms of a religion and in terms of a force. And honestly, whether it's one leader or a number of people, potentially you have tremendous power. When they don't want to say Merry Christmas in department stores anymore, I won't shop at places that don't say Merry Christmas. Guess what? I don't do too much shopping because, no, it's true. When I see these stores and they have a red wall and they have nothing on it, they don't want to say Merry Christmas anymore. I say, why don't you say Merry Christmas? Well, we're not allowed to. The owner doesn't want us to. These big department stores, they're not allowed to. And I'll tell you one thing. I get elected president, we're going to be saying Merry Christmas again. Just remember that. And by the way, Christianity will have power without having to form, because if I'm there, you're going to have plenty of power. You don't need anybody else. You're going to have somebody representing you very, very well. Remember that. So it's an honor to be here, and I know you're packed, and they have another auditorium that's even bigger than this, and it's packed, and the press won't talk about that. They never talk about it. So look at that, even up there, every little seat right up there in the corner. I'm packed right up. And then we have thousands of people in another auditorium. It's amazing. And, Cruz was here a couple of weeks ago. He had 500 people. We have thousands. He said 300. That's right, 300. And you were there, but you got my hat on, so I think I have him. But, okay, I'll reduce it. I mean, whatever it was. I mean, they always say more for other people. I mean, Bernie Sanders comes in. This Bernie Sanders, he has 3,000 people at an event, which was great. I had 12,000, same day. They said, Bernie Sanders' event was amazing. He had this massive crowd of people, unbelievable. He had 3,000 people. I had 12,000 people. The news said, Donald Trump was here today. He made a speech. Never mentioned the crowd. I said, what? It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And I'm telling you right now, in Massachusetts, most of the candidates are up there, wasting people's time, frankly, because they have nothing to say. A guy like Jeb Bush, who the hell wants to listen to this guy? I mean, here's a guy, spends $100 million. $100 million. He's in practically last place. A new poll came out. He's at 3%. With 100, wouldn't you love it if he could give it to the wounded warriors or the vets or something? He's terrible. He's terrible. And that's why we haven't had victories. And by the way, speaking of victories, look, you have to go out of caucus. Oh, we're wasting time. I'm giving you my word. I've built this great company. I'm really good at this stuff. We will make our country so rich again, so strong again. We're going to do it. We can't put these people in. They don't know what they're doing. When I say we're going to create a border, we're going to build a wall, they're politicians at the beginning. Now they're starting to say, oh, we're going to build a wall. They don't know how to build a wall. They wouldn't know how to, they don't know where to go to the bathroom. Look, they're politicians. But all of a sudden, every once in a while now, I'll hear one of these guys as I'm coming back say, we're going to build a wall. Oh, good. You think they know it's going to be a prefab? Or do you think they know anything about it? They don't know anything about it. They'll never get it approved. They'll never get it done. You know what stopped the wall? They were going to build it years ago. Environmental impact statement stopped the wall. Can you believe it? There was a snake or a turtle or a toad or something. It's true. And yet China, in the middle of the South China Sea, is ripping the ocean apart and building military bases, right? You know, and landing and runways for military planes. And I guarantee they won't worry too much about the environment. They don't worry about the environment. They worry about, you know, getting the job done. But it's just so interesting. So when I look at what's going on, and when I see what's going on, and the kind of crowds we have, but we're all wasting our time. You are, I am, everybody. And I'm wasting a lot of money, but I don't even count the money. Because honestly, it doesn't matter. We can turn this country around. We can make great deals instead of these stupid deals like that deal with Iran is embarrassing. And did you hear Kerry yesterday? He was saying, yes, some of the money will be used for terror. We expect that. Used for terror? Okay, I assume they have, like, clauses at least. There's no clause in it. Yes, we expect that some of the money has been used and will be used for terror. It could be a lot. And I'm saying, can you imagine a guy talking about that? We gave them $150 billion, and he's talking about the money's going to be used for terror. And it's okay with him. These are not smart people. Maybe they're smart, but they're not streetwise. You know, we're being beaten, actually, by Mexico, by China, by smart people, but we're being beaten by cunning people. They're more cunning than our people. Our people are babies. You know, we negotiate, we talk about global warming, and China's there laughing at us, and then they say, oh, yes, we agree, we agree. But China's agreements don't kick in for, like, many years. You know, you heard that. Ours kick in immediately. Their agreements don't kick in for many years. What do we have? I mean, why are we doing this? It's so incredible. They have no reason. I've made a lot of money with China. I do great with China. The largest bank in the world is a tenant of mine, pay me a lot of rent. Great people. I get along great with them. I get along great with the Mexicans. I have thousands of Hispanics and Mexicans working for me. Tens of thousands. Over the years, tens of thousands. I think I'm going to win the Hispanic vote. People say, oh, no, you're not. Oh, you. No, I actually think I'm going to win the. I think I'm going to win. There's my man. There's my first vote. There's my first vote. Beautiful. Thank you. That's great. Thank you. Thank you. And you know, it's interesting because in Nevada, you saw the numbers come down. I'm #1 in the polls with Hispanics, and everyone's like surprised. I'm not surprised. I create jobs. They don't want, you know, if people are here legally, they don't want other people coming in and taking their jobs. And a radio announcer from New York who has an all-Spanish network was on television the other day, and he said, you know, it's really strange. All the people that call in the show, they're all Spanish, all Hispanic. He said, all the people that call in, they all like Trump. So he's saying, you know, and they was asking me if I was surprised. I said, I'm not surprised because, #1, I love them. They're great people. But #2, I'm going to create jobs. I'm taking jobs back from China. I'm taking jobs back from Japan. I'm taking jobs back from Mexico. I mean, Nabisco is moving their big plant out of Chicago into Mexico, right? Who wants to have that? Nabisco. No more Oreos, you're right. It's my first statement. No more Oreos. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. Especially if they use that water. No more Oreos. We're not used no more. But Ford is building their big plant. A big plant was taken out of Tennessee. A group was going to build a massive plant in Tennessee, and at the last moment they changed their mind. Auto plant, they're moving into Mexico. It's not going to happen, this stuff. Then they build cars and they build trucks and they make Oreos and they sell it to us because they take it right through the border. In the case of the cars, who's going to drive the cars? The illegal immigrants, right? Right through the border. They're going to drive it. Why should you pay them? Boom, they'll come in. They're going to make a deal. So this is not for me, by the way, for the current. You do understand that. I have to clarify that because you know what? The press will say, well, he said he'd use illegal immigrants. That's the way they are. So we're going to do things. Believe me, these are among the most dishonest people in the world. They are the worst. The worst. They are horrible people. So I wanted to tell you a few things. Let's talk about different candidates, right? Should we? Yes? We don't have to be politically correct. Do I have to be politically correct? You know, this is a wealthy room. There are a lot of wealthy people in this room. I know that. I got a little briefing from Chuck. You know Chuck, right? And Sam. We know Sam. And he said, a lot of wealth in this room, right? A lot of wealth. So that's good. That means that you worked your asses off, for one thing. Is that right? And that's okay. But let's talk about some. So we'll finish off with Bush. The guy spends $100 million. He hits me with ads all the time. I wouldn't be talking about it, but every time I turn on television, there's an ad. Now he's got one about Hillary Clinton. It's like a Hillary Clinton ad. It's a great ad for Hillary Clinton. What the hell is, I mean, this guy, I don't think he's a smart person, I'll be honest with you. And he goes, Jeb, right? Exclamation point. I said, Jeb, use your last name. It's okay. It's okay. Oh, I don't want to do. I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous. He's got no, the poll just came out. He's got nothing. But he spends $100 million. The only way he gets, I just got a call from the Wall Street Journal. We'd like to have a comment. What? Oh, Jeb said this and that about you. Oh, what did he say? He said that you used to be a little more liberal. I said, so what? So was Ronald Reagan. What else? And they, by the way, they've heard it a million times before. But the only time he gets publicity is when he talks about me. So he talks about me. But the good news is it doesn't do any good. You know, Perry talked about me. Lindsey Graham, this poor guy, this poor guy. You know, in South Carolina, I was 38, he was 1, and he's the senator from South Carolina, this poor guy. And then who does he endorse? Jeb Bush. And this is, yeah, that's right. And that's probably why. And this is the guy that's going to take us to war. This is the guy that we're leading. You know, they're talking about, well, I know so much about war. What he's saying about the war with Syria is so wrong. It's so wrong. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And we'll be in there. You know, we've spent now probably $5 trillion. $5 trillion. We could have rebuilt our country 3 times over. And we listen to these people. These are people that are not smart. I mean, these are people that don't know what they're doing. They don't understand. I watch Lindsey Graham, and everybody says he's an expert on war. He's an expert on war? If I had a fight with him right now, he'd be out of there in seconds. He'd be out of there in seconds. This guy's not an expert. He's not an expert on anything. I don't think he's even an expert on getting elected because, you know, frankly, if he had to run a race today, I don't think he'd get 2% of the vote in South Carolina. But I see him, and I see this guy, and he's endorsing Bush. And I'm saying, what a waste of an endorsement. But the endorsement doesn't mean. So Bush is going to get all of his followers. You know what his followers are? 0. 0. Did you see he left the campaign at 0? So you know, those endorsements, we don't want to waste a lot of time with them. But you look at Perry, you look at him, you look at Bobby Jindal. He was vicious toward Trump. He started off, he had 5. He hit Trump, but he had nothing. Okay? You could name all of them. I mean, honestly, Jeb had 17, now he's down to 2. Okay? After spending 100, wasting $100 million in his last ad, he uses his mother in the ad. And his mother's a nice woman, but he uses his mother. I said, Jeb, ISIS doesn't want you to be using your mother. They want to deal with you, Jeb. You're going to have to get out there yourself, Jeb. Weak, pathetic people. Low energy is a better term, right? Low energy. You know, the Chinese don't have low energy. They come into my office, they're raring to go. They got more energy. Wow, let's go. Boom, boom, boom. They're not used to people like this that fall asleep as you're talking to them. So Jeb's a sad case. And I have to, you know, let's talk about, you know, the one that we're closest with, although, as you hear, the new polls are now have us ahead in the great state of Iowa. We're ahead. No, we're ahead. And I think substantially. Actually, you know, I'm not sure that we were ever behind. CNN came out with a poll 3 weeks ago, right? It was 33-20, Trump was up. Nobody reported it. It's CNN. By the way, CNN's a major poll. So CNN gets reported by everybody. So then I'm watching CNN, and they're talking about another poll like a few days later. And it was we were like even. And then your Des Moines Register, which I think is a totally crooked paper. I think it's disgusting. I think it's... You know, they do like 3 or 4 or 500 people. How do you do that? Now, if they take a few of those little people, put them in their pocket, bing, 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 all of a sudden Trump doesn't look so good anymore, right? So the only poll I didn't do, you know, it's fine, but I was second in that one. But if you think, so CNN does a poll, I'm up 33-20, that's a lot, I'm up 13 points in the state of Iowa. Because by the way, nationwide, I'm killing everybody. We're way, way up. In New Hampshire, we're way up. We're up by 21 points in different polls, some more. South Carolina, unbelievable, same thing, up by much more than 20 points. You go to Nevada, it's even better. And then the SEC, Georgia, unbelievable. By the way, Florida, I'm at 48. 48. And you have a sitting Senator Rubio, who actually is a nice guy. He's at 11. Jeb is at 9. The guy was a governor there. He's at 9, so they must know something. They're smarter than all of us. They know. They figured that out. And Cruz is a little bit higher than Rubio. So, but I'm at 48, and these guys are at 10 and 11. And so Florida is, you know, it's a very powerful state, very important state. Very funny, you know, the establishment, the party, it used to be you get a portion of Florida, right? They changed it, so it's winner take all. Because this way, if Trump, you know, comes in second or third or fourth, which they expected 9 months ago, if Trump comes in, Trump gets like nothing, okay? So it's winner take all, because they figured that Bush, you know, the people are too smart. That Bush or Rubio, you know, somebody that's a sitting senator should have an advantage in Florida, right? So they changed it so it's winner take all. I'm at 48, they're at 10. I like the change. I complained about the change. I said, what are you doing? I'm running against an ex-governor and a sitting senator, then all of a sudden it's winner take all. Well, Donald, we thought that would be good. Well, I don't like it. Yeah, I'm complaining, right? I don't like it. Then I saw a poll about 3-4 months ago while I'm complaining where I was up by 10. I said, they called me, they said, we never heard from you. I said, well, I'm thinking about it. And then they just came out with this new one 2 days ago where I'm at 48, and they're at 10, and they asked me recently, they said, so now what do you think? I said, I think it's very good what you did. I think it's fair, right? So now it's winner take all. It's winner take all in the state of Florida. So let's talk about Mr. Cruz, Senator Cruz. First of all, Sarah Palin, everybody thought she was going with him, and she's a terrific person, believe me. She gets very unfairly treated by the press. She's a terrific person. She's smart. She gets it. It's not fair the way they talk about her. And I think a lot of the people in this room know it. Let me tell you, she's smart. And Cruz thought that he was going to get her. And frankly, he was down, and he'll tell the story. He was in Texas. He was running for the Tea Party. He was at 2%. She came in and endorsed him, and he won. And he says, won because of her. And everybody assumed that Sarah Palin was going to go with Cruz. And Sarah Palin has one of the best records. You know, we all talk about endorsements. What do they mean? I usually say they mean nothing. Very rarely do you see an endorsement that means. Her record of endorsements is unbelievable. When she endorses people, I mean, they win. They were going over that on one of the shows, probably the best record of anybody. And we got a call, and Sarah and I have known each other a long time, and her husband's a great guy, and she's fantastic. Her family is fantastic. Actually, her daughters came out and endorsed me a couple of months ago. I said, wow, that's great. And it was nice. They're just a great, I mean, they're really a good family and good people. So I get a call from Sarah that she'd like to do this. And I was a little surprised because I thought that probably Cruz would be a natural fit because she endorsed him before. No, she said, what you have done is amazing. You've done something with the party that nobody has ever seen. I mean, I'm on the cover of Time magazine this week. A really nice story for a change. I mean, no bad, you know, it's not like too good. Usually, you read it, yeah. That story was so amazing, written by a great writer, and he never called me. I said, I have the new secret to getting good publicity. Don't speak to the writers, because I never spoke to the writer. He's a fantastically talented guy, I found out afterwards, not just because he wrote a good story, but it's a cover story, and it's talking about basically this movement. We have a movement going on, folks. We have a movement going on, I'll tell you. That's why I don't want to waste the movement by, you know, people saying I'm staying home, I'm not going to caucus, because caucusing is a little tougher than voting. You know, when you go out and vote in New Hampshire, you go out and you vote and you leave. Here you have to devote a little more time, but it's very easy. And by the way, if you could, go to donaldjtrump.com. That'll tell you exactly where to go, how to do it. We have a really good website, unlike the Obama website, the Obamacare. And I didn't spend $5 billion for my website, I promise, okay? They spent $5 billion, it still doesn't work. But donaldjtrump.com, it'll tell you everything. You have to write on top, it'll tell you everything. But you gotta go out. I joke when I say, if you're not feeling well, if you're sick, if you had a bad day, if you had a fight with your wife or your husband, it doesn't make any difference. You must go out and caucus, okay? You gotta do it. You gotta do it. And you saw yesterday the big poll came out where if the people go out, Trump wins like in a landslide. If they don't go out, it's very close. In other words, if you just go by people that have been doing it for years, but they think they're going to have a record, a record crowd of people. And I think you are, just like they had in Fox. Roger Ailes, a great man, one of the greatest men in the history of television, Roger Ailes from Fox. And he told me, I mean, they had 24 million, probably 25 million after it's adjusted, but they had 24 million people watch the debate, the first debate. They had 23 million people watch the debate, CNN debate, which is the largest audience in the history of CNN. That's not because of Bush, and it's not because of all the people that were up there that will put you to sleep just to look at him. It's because of Trump. I hate to say it, you know? And Roger Ailes told me, he said, look, we get, these were not big audiences prior to this year. He said they were shocked. They were shocked. When they saw the numbers, they were shocked. I said, I wasn't shocked. And it was good. And the last debate was my favorite debate. I think we did really well. But we've done well in all the polls show. We've won virtually every debate. And virtually every single poll. They have polls now where you poll who won the debate. They have polls on everything. I love polls. Because I'm number one in every poll, so I love it. If I was number 2 or if I was number 10, I would never be, the word poll wouldn't be in my vocabulary. But Roger said, never seen anything like this. And basically, that's what Time Magazine says. It said, there's never been anything like it, so we don't want to waste it, so you have to get out there. So with Senator Cruz, he's very devastated that he didn't get Sarah Palin. And at least he's open. Actually, he was very angry. Then his daughter wrote a very brilliant letter that got a lot of, did anybody see that letter? She wrote such an incredible letter. And everybody read it. It was all over the place. And he actually said, she's a great woman, which was nice. But here's the thing. She went with me because she sees what's happening. She wants to make America great again. These politicians are not going to be able to do it. And I've said Ted has a lot of problems. Number 1, Canada. He could run for the Prime Minister of Canada, and I wouldn't even complain because he was born in Canada. Okay? He was born in Canada. It's a serious thing. They just did a poll. 36% of the people feel that it's a serious problem. So you have law professors, Lawrence Tribe, Harvard Law, one of the great experts on the Constitution, a true expert. And he said, it's a real question. He said, it's untried, you don't know. The word don't know is not acceptable, because the Democrats are going to sue. If he ever got the nomination, within 2 days, there's already 2 lawsuits been filed. But they don't have standing. I have standing to sue. Can you imagine if I did it? Should I do it just for fun? Huh? Should I do it? I'm the one that has standing. Any of the candidates has standing. It's so nasty, though. Oh, I'm so good at that stuff. It's so nasty. And then another lawyer came out and actually said, very top constitutional lawyer, said he does not have the right to run because he was not born on the land. Now, he was born in Canada. He was born on Canadian land, on Canadian soil. And, John McCain had the problem, but with John McCain it was different because he was born on a military base and both of his parents were citizens. In this case, his mother was, but his father wasn't. But he was born in Canada. And there's a big theory out there, this has been going on for a long time, that, he may not be able to run for president because you have to be born on the land, you have to be natural, all the different things. We don't have to go into it. But there's a big risk that if he runs, and if he should win, and I think we're going to win without anything. I really believe that. I don't think it's going to matter. I don't think it's going to matter. I really don't believe it's going to matter. That's probably why I want to save the legal fees. If I thought it was going to matter, maybe I'd do it, but maybe I wouldn't either. But I have actual standing to do it because of, the fact that I'm a candidate against him. But if he runs, and if they sue, let's say they're running against Hillary. She's not going to jail because she's being protected. So she gets the nomination, right? And the first thing they're going to do is bring a lawsuit. So you're going to have a candidate that you don't even know if he can run. And the problem that you even have as voters, there's doubt. In other words, there's doubt. There's serious doubt. And some people say there's no doubt that he's not allowed to run. And I'm coming more and more to that way of thinking. When you speak to the other person who just came out, I won't even give you names, you can look it up, but a person came out, great constitutional scholar, said he is not allowed to run. He cannot run because he wasn't born on our land. And that's a big thing. That's a really big problem. So you've got that problem. I said go to court, ask for a declaratory judgment, and I've done that numerous times. You go to court. In other words, there's a dispute or there's going to be a dispute. You can go to court, ask for a declaratory judgment, so the courts rule on it. And that way he has a ruling. He can get a ruling, but even that has to go up. But he can get a ruling. You go to court, you get a ruling. Okay, that's number one. Number two, you know, he's a man of the people, right? And he's going to take in the banks, and he's going to rein in those banks, because those banks have been ripping you off, right? And in his declaration, you know, his financial disclosure form, which is a very important form. I mean, mine's 100 pages, almost 100 pages long, with tremendous numbers in them. And, you know, I have very good people, and they do it, and, you know, I haven't been challenged. There's nothing to challenge, I don't think. I mean, if there is, I guess there is. I think somebody could make a mistake. But so he's got 2 banks. He's a smart guy. But we didn't know that. So they found out Goldman Sachs. So he's a low-interest loan from Goldman Sachs, and he's personally guaranteeing it. Then they find out a week later, oh, he's got another bank, Citibank. So they say, why didn't you disclose this? Well, the reason he didn't disclose it is because he wants to be a man of the people. He doesn't want to know that Goldman Sachs, he doesn't want you to know that Goldman Sachs is making him low-interest loans, favorable loans, that he's got a personal guarantee. He's not going to do anything bad to Wall Street, and he's not going to do anything bad. Not that he should. But if you want, I think Wall Street's making too much money. I think we got to rein in some of these hedge fund guys. I mean, frankly, okay? I'm a Republican, and I'm telling you that. You got some of these hedge fund guys, they make a transaction by taking a phone call about stock, and they end up making millions of dollars, and they pay very little tax, okay? You know, we're taking their carried interest away under my plan. We're lowering it, by the way, we're lowering taxes seriously for the middle classes. We're lowering business taxes seriously. But we're taking some of the perks away from some of these, I mean, some of these Wall Street guys don't want to talk to me anymore, but we're taking away carried interest, which is a very big thing for if you're a Wall Street hedge fund guy. But it's ridiculous. I mean, what's going on Wall Street's ridiculous. And who knows it better than me? Who knows the system? Who knows the tax codes better than me? Somebody said, well, did you pay a lot of tax? Very little. The reporter said to me, little. I've never heard that from a candidate. Remember Romney when he said, no, I paid, and I paid. He was trying to build it up. Oh, yeah, I paid. I pay as little as possible. It's an expense, right? That's the American way. I mean, do you want stupid people? Yes, I pay. I mean, Romney was fighting so hard that he pays a lot. I mean, I pay as little as possible. I use every single thing in the book, and I have great people. And, you know, my things have been certified and ratified and go through, I mean, my numbers are so big I had to go through Congress to have it up. Can you believe it? I have to go through Congress. But, you know, but I pay as little as possible. And, you know, part of the reason I pay as little as possible, it's the first time I've said that, I think, to a group, but part of the reason I pay as little as possible is because of the way they waste our money, honestly. And you people are no different. When you see 2,300 Humvees, armor-plated, the best in the world, going over to Iraq or going to Syria or going to our soldiers, but not for our soldiers, we're giving them to our allies, right? A bullet's fired in the air and they run. And the enemy picks up. And the enemy now has 2,300. Can you imagine that? 2,300. I figured that was a mistake, like 23. I said 2.3. 2,300 of the best vehicles in the world. Now, we have wounded warriors who I love all over the place. These people are amazing. Their attitude. You meet them, they're happier than I am. It's true. I mean, they're happier than me. They're happier than the people in the audience. These are amazing people. And what, you know, they've lost their arms, they've lost their legs, they've lost worse. And they're just amazing people. Their attitude, they're always, like, I meet them so much, and I get to see them so much through the vets, and I see them in New Hampshire, I see them in all over, Iowa. But these are our most amazing people in a sense, and their attitude is so good. Had they had these Humvees, they'd be walking around like we are right now. They wouldn't be, you know, working so hard to get 15 feet. They would be around like us. We don't have those Humvees. The enemy took them over, and they took them over quickly. And a friend of mine has a son who's a soldier. He's done 3 terms. He's been over there 3 different times. And his biggest complaint is that we have old equipment, that we're using old equipment, and the enemy has all the new stuff because they take it away from our so-called allies that we're, you know, giving hundreds and hundreds of millions, billions of dollars worth of equipment to. And this is separate from the Humvee story, because that's a story that's pretty well known, but he's complaining. He said, you know, Mr. Trump, we have old equipment. We have the older rifles. We have the older this. We don't have the best trucks. We don't have the best, the SUVs. We have all the old stuff. And the enemy, we're fighting people that have better equipment than us, and it's our equipment. Again, we're incompetent. We don't know what the hell we're doing. And we shouldn't be backing people that are going to be running as soon as a bullet's fired in the air. They just they take our equipment like it's candy, okay? They take our equipment like it's candy. Billions and billions of dollars. These people are well armed, and it's all the best stuff, and it's all our stuff, and our people don't have as much. Just remember that. So when I see what we have, and that's why I mentioned guys like Lindsey Graham, because he's got the wrong theory. He's got the wrong. Don't forget. Now I'm bragging. You know, for years I didn't want to talk about it but now I'm open. 2003, 2004, I was totally against the war, because I said, if you knock out Iraq, what you're going to do is you're going to destabilize the Middle East. Iran's going to take over Iraq, which they're doing. They've already done it, essentially. They're going to get the second largest oil reserves in the world. They're taking over Syria. They're taking over Yemen, but they're only taking over Yemen because they want Saudi Arabia. So we can protect Saudi Arabia, but they've got to pay us. We don't get anything. What do we get out of it? What do we get out of it? Think of it. We protect all these countries. We get nothing. They pay us peanuts. We got to start using our head. I don't mind protecting them. I don't mind protecting South Korea. I love South Korea. Many friends. Probably not so much after this, but that's okay. I got to do what's right. No, I have no lobby in South Korea. I have no lobby. There's no lobbyists from South Korea saying, you can't say that, Donald. I guarantee you, these politicians, because the things that we do are so stupid, but they're not stupid. They're smart if you're a politician. It's bad for the country, but it's good for them. Because the lobbyist goes to him and says, look, we got to protect South Korea. I get a retainer for millions and millions of dollars a year from South Korea. I get a retainer for millions and millions of dollars from China. When you see these things, you think they're really dumb. But they're not dumb for the politician, because the politician is doing that because he's going to get campaign contributions for years to come from South Korea and from these other countries. That's why this all happens, folks. That's why, in front of a big group from Iowa recently, I said, must have had 4,000 people, and it was fun. And I said to him, I feel so foolish not taking the money. Can I take it? I promise I won't be influenced. And they all stood up. No, they're screaming no. They knew. In fact, there was only one guy in the room who said it's okay to take it. But he looked like a shady character. He was probably a lobbyist. It's true. One guy out of 4,000. One guy, I think it's okay. But he really looked, I wouldn't want to do business with the guy, actually. He probably had some deal going. But they are, when you look at the dumb things, even in you look at the Iran deal, it's inconceivable that we would give them $150 billion. It's inconceivable that we would give them 24-day inspection periods. It's inconceivable that we would give them self-inspection and that we wouldn't get our prisoners back. Now we get them back. You see what we did to get them back. We paid a ransom like nobody's ever paid. And by the way, because of what we did, you're going to have tremendous kidnappings all over the Middle East and other places, okay? We set a terrible precedent. But the reason you look at many of those countries in that deal are getting tremendous amounts of money. You know, Russia's making missiles and all sorts of military equipment for Iran. Other countries are right now, they're all knocking on Iran's door to get the money, and the only one that they're not giving any money to is us. That Airbus, European, just got a big contract for 114 big jetliners. They didn't give it to Boeing. I would have said, you got to give it to Boeing. You put a clause in, one sentence, got to give it to Boeing. I don't give it. We're giving you, you got to give it to, but I wouldn't have actually put that clause in. You know, why wouldn't I have put that clause? Because I would have never gotten the money. I wouldn't have needed the clause. I wouldn't have allowed them to have 150 billion. I would have gotten the prisoners back first, wouldn't have mentioned the money. I would have doubled up the sanctions. I would have had the prisoners back before the negotiation. I then would have gone in fresh. I said, did the prisoners land yet? Yes, sir, they just landed. Then I would have had my second meeting. I said, we can't give you the money. We're a debtor nation. We owe $19 trillion. With the stupid budget deal we just made, by the way, it's going to be $21 trillion. I said, we're not giving you the money. We can't do it. So, okay. So Cruz has a problem. And so the bottom line on that story is these lobbyists and these people are making a fortune off these horrible deals. So the deals that you see that you think are really dumb deals,
They're terrible deals for our country, but the politicians aren't so stupid. They're good for the politicians because they're being lobbied on deals. They're being lobbied on deals. So they're doing things that are not good for our country, but they're good for them. They're good for them. When Ford goes in and they want to build that big plant in Mexico, the politicians are all going to say yes because they're being lobbied. I'm going to say, no, you can't do it. Or we're going to charge you a hell of a lot of tax every time you want to bring a car back. You know? So Cruz has that problem. He has the bank problem. He got a lot of other problems. Plus the fact he was weak on immigration. We won't even say that. He took an ad recently. He's talking about eminent domain. Let's talk about eminent domain. That Donald Trump is in favor of eminent domain. What do I know about eminent domain? Eminent domain is a power used by government so that it can take land for highways, for roadways, for schools, for hospitals, for different things. We're government, whether it's city, state, federal, for pipelines. So we have these people, these really, actually, people that have been living off the trough, the so-called conservatives. National Review, you know, it's a failing magazine, okay? It's failing. Nobody reads it. Nobody reads it. I mean, it's got nothing going. It's so bad, and yet they got together, and in order to get some publicity, right? They got, I think, 22 guys. 22, mostly losers. Some of them I like. I don't like any of them now because they wrote something, but no, some of them I like. They always ask me to be on the show, like Glenn Beck. He'd call me, would you be on my show? Would you? And it wasn't that I didn't want to do a show. I'm so busy. I wasn't able to do it. Then he called my people. My people never told me. Didn't do a show. So bottom line, and I understand that, I wouldn't do a show. So he got very hostile. Once he got very hostile, I didn't want to deal with him. You know, I could have probably called him up, said, let's do your show, and he would have been fine, right? But that's the way it works. That's the way life works. He should have done a show, could have done. His show's failing. He's failing. He's always crying. You know, I like cries a little bit, but not that much. Wouldn't I look bad if I was crying? How would you guys feel about Trump would cry? How would China feel if I walked in crying because I couldn't make the right deal? You ever see this guy, Glenn Beck? You ever see Glenn Beck? Yeah, I cried when I was 1 year old. I was a baby. And my mother, who was great, she was from Scotland, she said, even then you didn't cry very much. Okay, I don't want to cry. You know, I think crying's fine, but, I mean, I see this guy, he's a sad sack, and he cries. So Glenn Beck was one of the people that wrote the thing. And by the way, he is failing. His thing is going down the tubes. He got fired from Fox. And I see a thing the other day where it's a Glenn Beck from a couple of years ago said he'd support Obama or Hillary over John McCain. I said, what's that? I supported John McCain. And he had to apologize. He said to me, did you see where he said that I supported Obama over John McCain? I was on John McCain's committee. And you know what happened? I supported McCain, he lost. I supported Romney, he lost. I said to my wife, this time I'm going to do it myself, okay? Enough. I don't like that. But Glenn Beck is going to endorse today. Oh, I would much rather have Sarah Palin than Glenn Beck. Look, Glenn's a loser, okay, just so you understand. This guy's a serious loser. So Glenn Beck, so they show me a tape just on the car over here. They show me a tape, and it's Glenn Beck saying that he would endorse Obama or Hillary Clinton. It was, I think, from, I don't know, 08, 09, whatever, that he wants Obama or Hillary over John McCain. I said, well, you know, I don't know if we're big fans of John McCain, but, you know, I'm taking McCain, right? And here's a guy would have endorsed, you know, if he was voting, would have endorsed Obama or Hillary. So he's embarrassed. He doesn't know what to do. Then you have a guy like Bill Kristol. He's been predicting that Trump would never run. Bill Kristol's, you talk about a guy who's down behind the 8 ball. This guy, his thing is going down the tubes. They're all going down the tubes. They're all. So Bill Kristol comes out, and he's an angry guy. He goes on shows. They don't even let him go on the shows anymore. Nobody wants him. The good news about shows, they only want you if you get good ratings. That's why I get all this publicity, because I get good ratings. If I didn't get good, they don't care about poll numbers. They only care about ratings. See, the shows care about ratings. And by the way, I have a lot of vets right here. I love you people, okay? I can see the vets. I can look at a guy, I can say you're vets. I see him. And by the way, I've been endorsed by so many of the vet groups. It's been incredible. We're going to take care of our vets, folks. We're going to build up our military. Make it stronger and better and more. We're not going to have to use it. Our military is being decimated. Our vets are being treated horribly. Our vets, in many cases, are being treated worse than illegal immigrants in this country. It's true. We're going to take care of our vets. So Bill Kristol is a guy, they don't even want him on television anymore. He's angry because I ran. And somebody wrote something that was so great. It was so great. And I have to read just a few of these paragraphs because it was so well written. And it's something I don't like doing because I hate to read stuff on, it's so boring to read, right? But this was a very, Doug Eibendahl, who's a very respected guy, and he wrote a story about, they did this stupid National Review. How boring would that be? 22 people. And some of these people, there's one guy named Brent Bozell. He comes up to my office begging me for money. He's got some kind of a deal where he needs money for advertising, something, whatever. I give him some money, comes up again, wants so much money. I don't know if he came up the second day, but wants money. I don't give him money. Now he's writing articles, Trump's a bad guy. This is what you have. Politics is a vicious business. It's worse. I thought New York City real estate, you'd meet the worst people, to be honest. Vicious people. Politicians are worse. But these are people who have done a terrible job. These are conservative people, which is good, but they've been living off the trough, and where have they taken you? Look who they've endorsed. Look at the failures. I mean, we have Barack Obama. We should have won those elections. We certainly should have won the last election. They endorsed Romney. They endorsed McCain, which is fine. But their attitude is wrong. You're not going to win with these people. So Doug said, I don't know him, so clueless is the gang of 22, they can't even see how they've stumbled right into the narrative Trump's been communicating so successfully for months. I've been talking about, that's why I'm having the crowds, because we're hitting a button. Whether it's our stupid trade deals where China's ripping us. China's going to we're going to have a deficit with China this year, $505 billion. Not with me. And we'll get along with China. By the way, we'll have a better relationship with China. But they've rebuilt China with China it's probably the greatest theft in history is what China has taken out of our country. Probably the greatest theft in history. And then they devalue their currency. And now they'll do it again and make it harder and harder to compete. And these people don't understand that. Just like the elected officials from both parties, the gang of 22, that's the 22 writers who write for this dying magazine. It's dying. I don't think it's going to be in business in a year from now. The gang of 22 has been great at complaining about stuff year after year after year. True, right? They're always complaining. They don't do anything about it. They complain. But getting anything accomplished, not so much. Many of the gang of 22 have been hanging around and chattering for decades, and some are active cogs in the conservative entertainment complex, deriving their income by pandering to conservative anger while offering no real solutions. Isn't that what's happening? We don't get anything. This guy writes so well. I said, I'm going to have to just read a couple of these things because it's so good. Donald Trump represents a threat to these ineffectual poobahs in the same way he represents a threat to do-nothing public officials. We have all do-nothing officials. All. Only 95%. Even the press is better because you have 25% good press. Jealousy is also seriously at work here. Trump is inspiring and exciting a broad spectrum of the country like no member of the gang of 22 has ever or ever will. It is. We're excited about this. They said, Donald Trump is angry. And I was supposed to say, oh, no, I'm not. I promise I'm not an angry person. I said, wait a minute. And I was up in the speech. This was during the debate, right? And they said, you're angry. And a very good woman, Nikki Haley, said it. She's a friend of mine. But she said, I'm angry. And so they hit me with that question at the debate. I said, you're right. I'm angry. I'm really angry. Our country is being run horribly. We're losing on trade. We're losing militarily. We can't beat ISIS. We can't do anything right. I'm angry. But I'll be happy very soon if I win because we will take it all back and it's going to go quickly. We're going to be happy and we're going to win again. But they weren't expecting that answer. In just 7 months of campaigning, Trump already has more Americans listening to a Republican message than the entire gang of 22 could muster over decades. True. We have unbelievable. Nobody buys that magazine. And look at what we have. Look at this room. Look at upstairs, the balcony. You can't see it. The balcony's packed. There are people standing in the back of this massive balcony. And then We have people listening across the road in this massive auditorium, bigger than this one, where that one's full too. And unfortunately, I have to go see them, so I'll be seeing you folks in a little while. I have to see them too. But we have to do it. I can't stand them up, right? I can't stand them up. Trump understands that before you can advance the ball, you have to convince people to take time from their busy lives to listen. No one on the GOP side since Ronald Reagan has accomplished that much like Trump. Nice compliment. No one else has come close, and certainly no one from the effete core of impudent snobs to which the National Review thinks they should defer. That's what you have. They live off the trough. The Gang of 22 had their chance. They've done a lot of bitching over the years, and it paid well for some. That's right. They make money off it, but they don't do anything for the country. But Americans care about results. They can plainly see all that empty talk. It's just empty talk. At the same time, when Americans look at Donald Trump's life, they get a lot of assurance that here is finally a man who shares their focus on actually getting results. I'm a results person. When Obama sends people, when Obama sent those 50 people over, he announced, I'm sending 50 people. We shouldn't be announcing. Those people have a target on their back. They should go over. General MacArthur wouldn't be announcing it. General George Patton doesn't announce. He wouldn't have 50 people. He'd have a group of people. You wouldn't need people. That thing would have been over a long time ago. Okay? You wouldn't need it. And Trump returns the respect by recognizing regular, hard-working Americans are a lot smarter than any of the ideological eunuchs in all of their pontificating glory. It's true. The people, my people are so smart. And you know what else they say about my people? The polls. They say, I have the most loyal people. Did you ever see that? Where I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible. No, they say, Trump, we love you too, man. Trump's voters are by far, you know, I'm at 68, 69%. I'm at 90% total. Like, will you stay? Absolutely. I think it's 68 or 69%. Will you most likely stay? That gets into the 90s. Other guys are like a 10. A guy like Jeb Bush, he has a nobody, but he's like I mean, like, they don't have people. They have nothing. Rubio, soft. They're all soft. All soft. My people stay. By the way, Cruz, soft. When they heard about this thing that he was born in Canada that nobody knew about, he lost a lot of people. He's gone down big in the polls. Ted Cruz has gone down big, big, big in the polls. That doesn't mean he's not giving us a fight in Iowa. That doesn't mean you can stay home. Okay? See you with a smile. It doesn't mean that. You got to go out because we can't take any chances. It's like I said, I haven't spent any money. When Bush spends $100 million and I spend nothing, I'm in first place, he's in last place. That's what we want for the country. Okay? Right now, it's the opposite. You look at education, we're number one in the world per student cost. We spend more money than anybody by far. And we're number 28 in results. So we have number 28. Third world countries are ahead of us, right? We're number 28 in the world, and yet we're number one. Mine's the other way. I spent the least on the campaign of anybody, and I'm in first place. That's great, isn't it? Now, I'm going to change because I'm going to change. Two reasons I'm changing. You know the reasons. Number one, I feel guilty. I actually do, because the reporters are saying, when are you going to start spending money? I'm $38 million under budget. I thought I'd have $38 million. I spent like peanuts. I spent almost nothing. So they keep saying, oh, are you going to spend? Although they respect the fact that I was able to. They call it earned media. I get so much television. I go on television. I go on a show. 15, then they have a commercial. So I'm here. They're talking about Trump. Then they say, we'll be right back with another subject on Donald Trump. Okay. So now we go, another 50. I said, gee, if I put a commercial in between, people are going to go crazy. Right? It's too much. So I couldn't advertise. Because I get some of these shows, the whole show, an hour, 2 hours, all Trump. They don't want to talk about the other bit. It's true. You look at New Hampshire today. You look at that auditorium. 7 of the candidates up there. The place is half empty. I got calls. They want to know why aren't it there. Now, I'm going to be there Monday. But they wanted to know. Place is empty. Nobody cares about them. So I couldn't do it. So I feel guilty, number one. And here's the second reason. I don't want to take a chance. I don't want to be cute. Do you understand that? I want to advertise a little bit. I went into the hotel that I stayed in here last night, which was a very nice hotel, and I'm watching all these ads. I'm watching them for Carson. I'm watching them for Rubio. I'm watching them for Cruz. I'm watching all these ads. I don't want to take a chance because you may believe some of those ads. By the way, those ads are total bullshit, okay? Bullshit. No, I'm watching. I'm watching these phony ads, and I'm saying, you know what? But honestly, it's true. I don't want to take a chance. All right. What voters are looking for this year is competence and accomplishment. It's true, right? And Donald Trump has an actual record of delivering both in spades. I built an unbelievable company. Don't forget, when I did my financial filings, all these bloodsuckers were down there. Oh, they said, maybe he's not as rich as everyone thinks. Turned out I'm much richer than anyone ever thought. I built one of the greatest companies. In fact, if I didn't run, and it was, not easy for me to say, let's run, because it takes guts. Don't kid yourself. Coming down that escalator with my wife, that takes guts. But I will say this. I will say this. I'm so happy I did it. It's been so great. I will not be happy if I lose. I will not be happy if I did it. Everyone's saying, oh, what a great job he's done, that it doesn't matter if he wins or loses, what a great job, because we've totally changed the way this stuff is done. I don't say that. And I told people that I got a call from one of the great writers. He said, how does it feel, what you've done? I said, what have I done? You've changed the whole way that people look at this. You've changed. It's never been anything like this. It was the summer of Trump. Now it's the autumn of Trump. And how does it feel? And I said, doesn't feel anything, because unless I win, I just wasted my time. He said, you don't have to win. I said, yes, I do, because if I don't win, I wasted my time. You all understand that. I feel that way. So just to finish, it's so good. The Gang of 22 is right to be terrified. A president who could get things done would expose them as irrelevant creatures that they truly are. It can't happen fast enough. Now, here's a conservative guy, loves the conservative everything. And he writes a story that was so on, and not because he's saying good about me. What he's saying about them is true. They make money being conservatives. I don't even think they care about the country. A guy like a Glenn Beck, the guy's a stone-cold loser. And honestly, if I would have done his show, he would have said great things about me. I didn't do a show. I understand it. You know what? If I were in his business and I couldn't get somebody on my show, I'm busy, it's hard. And maybe I have a person that was too tough. When you start doing well, they get a little bit tough. Do you understand? They think they're hot stuff. Somebody calls, well, I don't know. At the beginning, they would say, please, would you do an interview? Now, well, I don't know if we're... So maybe that happens. I don't know. I don't know who they call. But I know that they couldn't get me on the show. I guarantee if I would have done a show, he would have loved me. But now he doesn't. So and I don't respect the guy. I've seen what he's done. Got fired from Fox, all that. But he's going to endorse Ted today, and that's fine. Ted has gone way down. I think we have a chance to win this big. I won't go through, because we discussed some things today that I never discuss at speeches. This is sort of a first. I did some things today that I don't do. But the primary thing that I'm doing, we're now down at crunch time. This is now crunch time. It's no longer, 5 months ago, 6 months ago. It's no longer June 16th when I announced. And when everyone said, well, number one, they said I wouldn't run. And a lot of these guys are coming along. Some of them said, he's a great, great political talent, maybe the greatest we've seen in a century. I said, wow, did he? They said he makes speeches for an hour and a half without any notes. Not bad. I don't use teleprompters. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Jeb Bush actually said I thought it was very nice. Jeb Bush has said on Meet the Press a couple of weeks ago, they were talking about it, he said, I do admit he's a gifted politician. He's a gifted, gifted politician. Then he said it again, and I said, my wife said to me, why is he saying that? I said, I don't know. I wouldn't be saying that about an enemy. I'm not saying anybody's gifted. I say they're all stiffs. It's easier than that. But look, he was saying it. But a lot of these people have come a long way. They were embarrassed because they all knew that I wasn't running, and then I ran. And then they said, well, he'll never file Form A, which is a brutal form where you basically sign your life away. And I filed it. I signed my life away. And then they said, well, he'll never file his financials because, he's got this massive company, and he'll never file because he's not as rich maybe as people think, and that'll be bad for him. And I would have filed them anyway, even if I didn't run, because I want to brag about what a great company I built, Drew. And nobody knows because I'm a private company. But I filed these papers, and everybody, you've heard only good things. Believe me, they've gone over every inch of them. And my company's phenomenal, some of the greatest assets in the world, and tremendous cash, very little debt, all the good things. And I don't tell you that as a bragging thing. I tell you that because that's the kind of thinking that our country needs. I don't care about my company. I don't care about, and this is true, because I don't care. Somebody said, well, would you have a conflict? I don't care about my company once. If I win this thing, I won't even be thinking about it. Ivanka will run it. My kids will run it. It's easy. I don't want to waste my time. Who cares? This is so important. This is historic. I mean, if I buy another building in Manhattan, or if I buy a building in Scotland, I have Turnberry, the great Turnberry Resort. I have Doral. I have the great Doral Resort in Miami, one of the great resorts of the world. I fixed it. It's incredible. It's brand new. It's beautiful. And all of these things, I love doing it. But I have some of the great jobs in the world. And Turnberry is where they play the Open Championship, the biggest tournament in golf, that used to be referred to as the British Open, but the Open Championship. And, I own the greatest stuff. And I may never even see it again, if you think about it, because I'm not going to be like Obama, where I fly on an old 747, spewing, he talks about the carbon footprint. So he's given a thing. Our biggest threat is global warming. Oh, what about ISIS? What about Russia? What about, now, Putin called me a genius, that's good, but I don't know if he's playing with me. We have to figure that out. But I think I'll get along great with Putin. Wouldn't it be nice if we actually got along well with Russia? Wouldn't that be a good thing? Is that right? I think I'll get along great with Putin. I think I'll get along great with a lot of people. I think I'm going to get along great with a lot of people. Got along with Democrats. I got along before I was doing this, I got along with the Democrats, with the Republicans, with the liberals, with the conservatives. I get along with people. But wouldn't it be great if we actually did get along great with Russia? And if we got along so we wouldn't have to spend all of these tremendous funds? We're going to do that anyway, because we have to build up our military. By the way, building up our military, especially for you guys, that's the cheapest thing to do. Because nobody's toying with us. Nobody's playing with us, okay? We're decimating our military. I don't know if you know it. General Ordiana left, and he said, we are least prepared that we've ever been. He did that on a show. Because all our generals, they go into talk shows. I wouldn't want my generals. I don't want my generals on talk shows, fellas. Do we agree? I don't want them on a talk show. I don't want them, because you know what? They'll say one little half a sentence, and the enemy learns something. I don't want our enemy to learn. I want to be unpredictable. We need unpredictability. A deal I made, one of the reporters called financial deal, and they called this guy on the other side where I actually won. They never talk about my good deals, ever. If I hit a deal which is tough, and I make bad deals good, the sign of a great business guy is I could have a deal where, boom, I'm building a thing, and everything's going good, and then you have a depression right in the middle. I've had numerous of them. I make those deals work. You got to be able to make them work. Those are the good guys. But they never want to talk about, great deals. They called up recently. Who's the worst? The Washington Post. First of all, it's a tax scam, because the person that owns the Washington Post, as you know, has Amazon and wants to keep his taxes down. So he uses the Washington Post for power so that they don't raise taxes, okay? And is it Amazon? Yeah, it's Amazon. And it's a tax scam. The whole thing is a scam. But they are the worst. They write the worst stories. And they call up about some deal that took place 22 years ago. I said, do you want to hear about a good deal? No, we're not interested in the good deals. Oh, that's good. Because I got so many good. I said, do you want to hear about some good deals? Washington Post is a tax scam. Remember that. Remember I said it. It's a way of buying influence. That's all it is. Because it's a losing newspaper, but it's a way of buying influence so they don't raise taxes on a much bigger enterprise than the Washington Post. Just remember that. Nobody understands that stuff. A lot of people, I said that once before. People said, well, what do you mean? I don't understand. They don't understand. I said, you don't understand? I'm not going to explain it to you. But it's very simple. Total tax scam. But here's the thing. We're going to make our country great again. You have to go out. You have to caucus. If we lose this thing, and losing to me is going to be coming in number 2. Now, everyone says to me, please don't say, even my people, please don't say that. Please don't say that. Because if I come in number 2, I could have said that's a victory. It's not a victory. It's not a victory. Not for me, it's not. And I will tell you, it's possible we don't win. I mean, it's possible. And I'm going to go to New Hampshire, and we're going to win in New Hampshire, and we're going to win in South Carolina, we're going to win in Nevada, we're going to win the SEC. But Iowa hasn't had a winner in 16 years. You picked a lot of losers, folks. Picked a lot of losers. You have picked a lot of losers. You got to get back on the ball. One other thing. You got to get back on the ball. I mean, if you vote for Ted Cruz, I love your voice. If you sound like Pavarotti, my friend, if you vote for Ted Cruz, you're not going to win. You're not going to win. And there's a real question as to whether or not he can run, but you're not going to win. You got to pick a winner. And I think we're going to win. So they're all telling me, oh, please don't say that. Please don't say that. Because, you know, when I say that, they will put my face up here today. I think we're going to win. And if I lose, and they will have, I think we're going to win. Donald Trump came in second place and was humiliated. Okay? I'm not humiliated. And if I come in second, I'm not. And if I come in 10th, I'm not humiliated. You go on to the next, okay? That's the way life is. But I think we have a really good chance of winning. I want to win. And DonaldJTrump.com, you have to go, you have to caucus, no matter what you're doing, because I promise you one thing, we will make America great again. And one other thing for Iowa, you know, they're talking about putting you in the back of the pack. I don't know if you know it. This is an amazing, I have so many friends in Iowa. I stay here. I have so many friends in Iowa now. They're such incredible people. And this is an amazing tradition, the whole thing. Even the caucus concept. You know, it's different. It's different. Most people vote. It's a lot easier. But there's something about the caucus that's really cool. It means you have to want to do it. You know, it means you have to really want to do it. And it's just an amazing tradition. And Iowa is an amazing, a great place. I love so many of the people here, and I get along so well. I want to thank all of the evangelicals, what they've done. They've been so great to me. The evangelicals have been unbelievable. You see how I'm doing with them, and they like me, and they understand me. And the pastor who spoke so beautifully. I mean, there's so many people that I've gotten to know and really, really gotten to love. So on February 1st, you got to go out, you got to do a thing, because we want to have a mandate. We want to make it big. And I promise you, I will work my ass off, and we're going to make America great again, okay? Thank you.
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.